Hey, so have you been? No, I wanted to talk about some current things that are going on with me, the plans for the future, what exactly has been going on, why I'm not as consistent as I used to be, why I'm not as crazy as I used to be, and this is going to be kind of sad. I'm sorry in advance. If you don't want to watch that, feel free to click off the video. It's not going to make me upset. This is just kind of to explain to myself to people that are wondering. And those of you that have been around me a lot or know me in real life or follow, my socials, and I've talked about it on stream a little bit, I think, but probably not much. But my grandfather died in March, and he was a big part of my life growing up. And then 3 months later, after he passed away, my dad passed away. And it wasn't the most hard hitting thing when it had first happened, but a lot of events surrounding that after that had happened have made it pretty hard to deal with in the long term. And there's a lot more things that I feel responsible to take care of now that he's gone. And there are things that I really didn't realize needed to be taken care of before. Um, so this year has not been a great year for the cards. I I felt more inclined to take care of my grandmother because it's just her now, and she's used to having at least somebody else in the house, and she's not been alone for 50 years. So I felt a inclination to be a lot more involved in her life. Um, obviously I'm an adult and I work a full time job and do other stuff, so I can't be there all the time, but I've been trying to be there more often than I was. My sister, her and my dad were pretty close, so I had this I feel this weird obligation of wanting to sort of take his place for her as far as like events and stuff. Like she's in her senior year of high school, so I've been going to like all of her games, and I've been doing, I've been showing up to all of her senior night and stuff like that, which I wouldn't have really done beforehand, which is it's good and bad. It's good that we've gotten closer, but this is not exactly the catalyst that I had expected to make this happen. And speaking of catalyst, my overall mood just recently, the, the past year or so, has just been lower probably than ever. The time that I do feel like I use well, I feel like I don't spend productively enough. And the time that I set aside to do things that are fun for me, I always feel like I should be doing something productive or doing something else or working. And I basically feel like I'm always wasting my time. And um, streaming has been the same way, where I feel like it's not a productive use of my time, because if I look at my metrics, then I'm like, well, you're not growing, you're not doing anything. Well, if you don't do anything, you won't ever grow. That's just how it works. But um, I guess you could call this depression, but I prefer not to think about that like that, because I feel like somehow calling it depression makes it worse in my head, at least. I know that may not make any sense, but that's just how I feel about it. So I try not to label it that way. Um, it's just taken a all of the stuff that's been going on has just kind of taken a toll on my mental health that I didn't really expect. And a lot of my time has been used to help other people or help other people do things that they need to do that I don't necessarily get anything out of. And the depression in my head is like, hey, why are you even doing this? You don't get anything out of it, but that's not why you help people, and it's hard to fight those two things. And I know that there are people in my life that I usually would help with no problem that I've either declined or I've kind of blown off, or I've been negative about doing things for them that I would usually do without issue, um, because my mood has overall just been low. And I'm sorry for that. If those of you that I've done that to, if you are watching this, you probably know. You probably know what I'm talking about. And I'm sorry for that. But um, I guess I don't usually talk about my feelings and stuff because the people in my life that are really supportive of me, like my mom and my girlfriend and my other friends, they'll be like, "Hey man, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. It's no problem." But I guess in my head, I'm this sort of like strong man figure that doesn't ever need to show how he actually feels. He just needs to be, strong man figure. So, um, but I guess I'm just struggling a little bit right now because usually I have that and I have no problem doing that, and I don't really feel compelled to talk about it. But I guess things going on for like a year now, and other people kind of expect things from me. It's a good time to finally talk about it. Um, the people that do support me and the people that are there for me though do sort of remind me in these times where I get down on myself that there's always ups, and the downhills will eventually be replaced with uphills. And even if they feel sort of inescapable at the moment, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And um, the people that support me and are around me are what keep me going. And I cannot thank them enough for that. So, another thing is last year on Halloween Day, I started my new job. And before I took that job, I took a little bit of time off, about 2 to 3 weeks, um, because at the time I was working this 12-hour night shift job from 6:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. And that was a great job to start my career in this field off, don't get me wrong. And I got a lot of experience from that job that has helped me tremendously. And I didn't hate the job, but it felt like it was no longer a good fit for me by the time that I was done, and I wanted to do more. So I left, but I was working this 2 on, 2 off, 3 on, 2 off, 2 on, 3 off schedule. So basically 60 hours one week and 24 hours the next week. And it was great on the weeks that I was only working 24 hours because I was like, oh, I only work 2 days this week. It's not a big deal, whatever. And the 60-hour weeks are like, man, I fucking hate this job. I don't ever want to be here again. And that free time given to me on those 24-hour weeks uh, were incredible because I could put all this time to dedicate to streaming and doing other stuff. And even when I was at work, when it wasn't super busy, I had the free time at work and I had a laptop because I was a programmer, sort of troubleshooter. Um, I got to see my friends like Leah Ayame and Taylor Starlight grow on Twitch, and I was modding for them a lot, which really at the time felt like a full time job in and of itself. But I had enjoyed it whenever I was doing it, and I hadn't obviously been around since then, but I decided to take a break from the modding and kind of do my own thing. Well, you see how that worked out. Here I am. Well, I don't stream enough anymore. So now that I never stream since I've changed jobs, I had some plans that I had set up for myself for the year. I wanted to stream the equivalent to half a part-time job, So like 20 hours a week over the 52 weeks of the year, which results into roughly 2,000 hours, give or take. And I have not even hit 500 for this year. So that has very quickly gone through my fingers. Um, and I cannot pick that back up anymore. But since I've changed jobs, I had thought that I would be working from home a lot and I would be doing this 8 hour day in an office, no big deal, bing chilling, and uh the reality is that I work 8 hour days. I very rarely work from home, but I really work 9.5 hour days, and I have a 40-minute drive and a 1 hour time zone difference. So really what happens is I leave my house at 7 a.m. I get to work at around 6:45, 6:50, and then I work until 4 p.m. and then I get home at 6 p.m. So those days that I thought were going to be super short and chill and everything have been busy, but has actually resulted, I think, in like a time deficit, like a free time deficit. And that's not exactly what I wanted, but that's how things have worked out. Um, but also, something that I didn't really think about at the time was, since I'm no longer working on weekends, everybody knows that I have weekends off. So all of these things that I was sort of let off the hook for before, like parties and events and stuff on weekends, especially, have now been freed up on my schedule for people, and they expect me to go to all these things. And my family's wanting me to be more involved, and I want to be more involved in things that I wasn't involved in before. I try and be more social. Not that I feel like I have that time, but in reality, I really don't have that time. And it's, I've suffered in other facets of my life, like streaming, for example, because I'm giving it up to try and be more social. And that's actually been pretty rough to deal with, like mentally, for me, because I feel like people expect me to go live and do stuff and whatever. And I know I don't really have a huge audience. I'm not some big full-time streamer or whatever, but the expectation for myself is still there, and it makes it difficult whenever I feel like I can't do that. It makes it difficult for me to deal with. Um so I've somehow come out with less free time, moving from 12-hour shifts to 8-hour shifts. Who knew, right? I sure didn't. But with all that super sad stuff out of the way, I want to talk about the future. The future's kind of weird for me right now because the things that I wanted to do this year very obviously fell flat on the face. But those were made before I had like a full understanding of what my schedule was going to be like and what I was really going to be doing, and like how I do anything really. Um, so I think that moving forward, that won't be a problem anymore because I have a better understanding of my time and everything. And I think I'm going to do some games on stream still occasionally, but it won't be my main focus anymore. I want to switch to doing some sort of long form content, or maybe more focused and insightful VODs on platforms like YouTube. But I was also thinking of trying out like TikTok for, some more focused topics that I care about, but things I can cover quickly or talk about in some capacity that isn't going to be super boring for people that are on TikTok that just do this all day. Um, I will try not to cater to anything specific. So no e-girl chase for the foreseeable future, I guess. But I'm learning some video editing software. It's been a very light time sink, nothing crazy, so I wouldn't expect anything to come out soon. But I do want to put a video out before the end of the year. One, at least. Can't tell you what it'll be. It's not this one. Although that would be a great cop out, but it's not this one. Um, but we'll see where that goes. I I had also um thought about, well, I've talked about with a couple people that are in the community, sort of um doing some programming and rigging and modeling and stuff for a video game that they're making, because it was something that interested me, and it still interests me, and I still actually plan on doing that. I just haven't put the time into it that I feel like I should have, and I sort of want to apologize to them for that, even though they probably won't ever see this, um, because I'm not gonna pointedly put it out there for them to do that. Um, but I want to just state that I hate to not stream. Just generally, I hate to not stream, but I really hate to try and put it on the back burner to do something else. But I think going forward, that change is what I need, and it'll be better for me, and it'll be better for you. If you have any suggestions for things you'd like me to talk about, or things you'd like to see me to get into, like video games, movies, other media, I don't mind. The sky is the limit, right? Feel free to comment on this or DM me about them, and we can see what we can do. My Discord tag is Chase's Lounge. My Twitch tag is Chase's Lounge. I'm pretty much Chase's Lounge everywhere. But I also wanted to talk about my old streams and some of the things that was going on with those. Uh, Looking back on them now, yeah, I may have had a small problem, especially around February of last year. Not that I really fixed that, but there were some pretty wild times. I've cut back a lot on drinking, and my tolerance now is at an all-time low. I think from even before I even started drinking. So those may never come back. Those times may never come back. But those streams were fun, and I still think about them fondly, even if they were super embarrassing. Um, Also, to the future, I've sort of been making a plan to try and get back into shape because I'm fat, because I have a desk job now, and take care of myself a little better, but also to try and still be creative in some capacity, even though it'll probably be less than I want to and less than I used to, if things go as I expect them to. But you never know. Sort of difficult for me to even gauge myself sometimes. But to end this video, I know it's been long. It's almost 20 minutes, but it's my first real serious video pretty much ever, but also just one that's been posted on this channel. I'd like to thank everybody that supported me so far, monetarily, or just being around, chatting, talking, helping out. My friends that have helped me in the way of content creation: Lee Ayame, Taylor Starlight, Luka Minksu, for example. My artist, Arisu Foxtail, she made all my emotes, and I love those. My number one fan, Quogi, I love you, bud. Um, my other friends like Shadow, NRT, Kurt, Valflow, Meister, and my other friends that support me on other platforms like Asmo, Lyra, Lucille, and Bill. My amazing girlfriend that makes me want to tear my fucking hair out sometimes, but I love her. And I love you guys. And without you guys, I don't know where I would be at all. I have no idea what I would be doing right now if I wasn't recording some video being super introspective about my life to people that don't give a shit. But yeah, that's it. If you guys need anything, let me know. See ya.